So hello everybody again. I am here with Laura and Ima, and today we are talking about stress related to holiday and food. So both Laura and Ima are in my weight loss group where we talk about stress related eating and psychology of weight loss and whatnot. This is actually the Unfug Your Life group where we talk about life coaching related issues such as being more productive, resolving brain fog, and so forth. But with holidays approaching, I figured we'll talk about the stress related to that, to the diet a part of it, but in the aspect of life coaching rather than weight loss. So instead of talking about stress relating eating, maybe we can even be talking about stress related to eating or eating related to stress. But again, I want to focus on the psychology part of it. So what questions do you guys have? Let's just take it in that aspect.
Well, I have one. What's the conspiracy theory behind it?
Aha. So the conspiracy theory. And so what she's referring to is that there has been this theme in the live group where we exchange messages and where we have a discussion that portrays me as a conspiracy theorist in the sense that I always talk about mainstream pushing wrong concepts and that these concepts need to be reconsidered and call um, everybody, all the participants to question basically what they hear from the mass media information in that respect. I guess Laura, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what she's trying to ask is what aspects of psychology of weight loss I feel we have been lied to all about our lives.
Well, pretty much, I would have to say. I think you're on the right track there already, but maybe I should rephrase it as what mainstream thought about stress-related eating do you question?
Well, yes, but let's get back to the conspiracy theory. I want to explain something about that now that this group is more on the life coaching side of it rather than the eating side of it. So, rephrasing is good, but the conspiracy theory part of it, let's get this out of the way. So let's step away from eating for a few seconds and get back into the conspiracy theory. Um, so, for example, we all know there have been revolutions in history of the world. American Revolution is obviously one of them. Is that United States has been a colony of Britain for the longest time. Then one day, we Americans decided we've had enough of it and threw a bunch of tea that they brought into the colony in Boston into the sea, called it Boston Tea Party, and that was the first step to independence. So that's one example. Another example is the Russian Revolution, which was the beginning of communism everywhere. Everybody knows about that. When Hitler took over Germany, it was another revolution. So those indeed are real, and there's no question about it. It's part of history. If it happened before, obviously there's nothing barring it from happening again. At that point, it's a conspiracy, not a theory, because somebody had to plan it, somebody had to organize it. Even that same Boston Tea Party, if you and I decide we're gonna throw our Amazon packages in the river and protest against big corporations, nothing will happen. It's not the act itself, it's the organization behind it. It's, somebody has to spearhead it and, make it happen. So when it actually happens, it's a conspiracy. It's not a theory. When we're just saying that, somebody may be playing something like this, planning something like this, but we have absolutely no information to prove it, then it's a theory. So, but and obviously, if you're planning something like that, you're not going to be advertising for everybody else to know that you could get arrested and put in jail for treason. So it's a theory because there is no proof. But let's get back to weight loss because so conspiracy is one step, theory is another step, and then there is another step below it, which is what I would call innovative thought. For example, when Galileo, I think was that scientist's name, said that the earth is round, that went very much against the dominating thought, which was under Catholic Church at that point, which believed that that was blasphemy and that was somehow contrary to religious beliefs, which it wasn't, but in their school of thought, they felt that way. So that innovative thought kind of went against the dominating view, but it really wasn't neither conspiracy nor theory of it. Or when Edison invented the light bulb, it's another thing. Again, they for the first few years they thought the light bulb was possessed, or a lot of people did, because in their school of thought, that was different. So that kind of innovative thought, that's what I term innovative thought, is that you don't necessarily go against everything that you hear in what I term mainstream and the dominating school of thought, but it's good to be able to think independently. And in the same token, not everything they say is right either. So when you can think creatively, when you can think independently, then you're like Edison, and then you're like Galileo, who actually move human civilization forward. And that's how human civilization develops, and I submit survives and goes to the next step. So let's bring it back to stress related eating and weight loss. What's the innovative thought there, or my take on what is incorrect in the dominating school of thought that everybody seems to subscribe to without questioning? And what I would answer here, now that I finally get to the question, Laura, sorry, is that the dominating thought that I totally don't buy when it comes to stress related eating is blame the victim.
That's actually an interesting one to me, and I've heard of this concept before. Can you explain it further?
Sure. So when we talk about food addiction or stress relating eating, or even like psychology of weight loss, or just even weight loss in general, the dominating idea is that if you're overweight, then there is something wrong with you personally. You eat too much, you don't exercise enough, you may have some kind of imbalance in terms of you can't control yourself, like you're a food addict of sorts. And by imbalance, because I talk about imbalances a lot myself, more of a mental imbalance, like you have an addiction, you're a food addict, you have, this kind of, deviation from the norm. So if you have, speaking, we're not talking again, the physical part here, we're talking the psychology. So if you feel that, gee, I can't restrain myself from eating, I'm helpless against cravings, I eat too much where I'm under stress, then the mainstream tendency is that, well, fix yourself. What's wrong with you? And I submit that nothing could be more wrong and more incorrect than that. Because when you do that, you don't look at the physiological side of things, of what is causing your cravings. Why are you not feeling full? Why do you turn to eating when you're stressed? What is going on there? So when you look at those physiological processes that basically are, the triggers and the enemies that put you in that position, then that's where you focus your plan of attack, you know, is things that make you do those things. But in mainstream, um, the focus is on you. You go through therapy, you find different approaches, work with yourself, and they leave this physiological aspect totally out of the picture. So that is what this is what I mean by blame the victim, basically. Let's go to the next question.
Don't you think that some people actually bring this stress upon themselves by like not caring about their diet or how they approach these questions, etc.? I mean, I hear what you're saying there, but this is only true in some cases, right?
Well, I think what you just said is that, some people don't care about their diet,
Hmm.
I think that it's more fair to say that that is only true in some cases. Because, yeah, there are people who absolutely don't care, that, they take no thought of what they eat, and they wake up and they lay on the couch all day and eat donuts, and it doesn't even cross their mind. But I think the majority of people who feel, and those kind of people just flat don't care. They wouldn't do anything about it. They wouldn't go on YouTube and look up a video or that's related to stress related eating to see if they can solve that problem, because they don't care. So
Hmm.
majority people do care, and they try to make some steps in terms of trying to watch their diet, and or trying to work with their mind when it comes to that, but they just don't get very far. And so once they feel that they're like the saying goes, peeing up a rope, then obviously they get discouraged, they quit, then they start thinking, it's like, oh gee, I better do something about it. And then they try it again and it doesn't work again. And so again, all this boils down to the thing is that if you have problems with psychological aspects of weight gain, if you have problem with stress related eating, then you need to fix your mind through counseling, basically. Which I'm not saying that your mind and your mindset don't play a part in that, because they absolutely do. And I talk about it myself. What I am saying, though, is number one, you cannot just blame it all on your mind. You have to take a look at the physiological processes that take place there. And number two is that you cannot, you cannot fix this just working with you and seeing yourself as a victim. You absolutely have to look and see at what information you're given, which is oftentimes incorrect, at the lack of tools that you're given to do that, and at the at what is available to you to fix that. In the mainstream is oftentimes not there. You're not getting the right information, even just mentioning the physical part that I just talked about. You're not given the right tools. How do you control cravings? Oh, just do it. And to me that is a very funny thing, because it's like telling a drug addict, oh, just quit. It's a physiological process that takes place in your body. I in the program I compare a craving to an itch or a cough, or in anything, you have an urge to go to the bathroom, for instance. It's a physiological signal that goes in your body that we're not even made to control. Like digestion, sleep, all those processes take place on their own, and we're not part of it. And cravings is a physiological process. So to tell somebody to think themselves into controlling a craving isn't going to work unless you work with other factors that surround it, which are oftentimes have nothing to do with you. It has to do with what you're given. For instance, the advice to eat low calorie foods, and in my program, I talk about a lot that, that's, the last thing that you need to be doing when you have that problem. But if that's the mainstream information that you're given and that's what you have to go on, then you're kind of at a disadvantage there. You really don't have the tools to fix it. Anyway,
Okay, let me play the devil's advocate here and tie this back to conspiracy theories. Do you feel that this blame the victim thing is being pushed on purpose? I guess this is what will make it a conspiracy theory, right? If it's being done on purpose.
right, well, that would definitely make it a conspiracy theory, like we've been talking about, that, there's somebody behind it, to, somebody's benefit to push that. Then, then there's the secret group for which we have no proof, but, then that's a theory that that's who's doing it. Or it's just there and we leave the political battles, for someone else to fight. And, it's just we're trying to just look at the innovative thought part of it. But to answer your question, I feel, I don't, I wouldn't go as far as to say that, well, they're just pushing it on purpose because they want us fat. But the associated industry that developed around this is huge, because all the nutritionists who go to school and learn food pyramid, that's their livelihood. This is how they make money. This is all they know. So to say this is incorrect, puts them out of work and out of business, because obviously they're not going to retrain overnight. All the food industry is based on selling us stuff based on those principles of the way it's been set up. So, hey, if low fat sells and we're going to produce a bunch of low fat yogurt, we stand to make a lot more money by making more low fat yogurt than say no, whole milk yogurt is actually better and will help you lose weight, because number one, nobody's going to believe it, word of experience. And number two, why do that when it's quicker and easier to make money by putting out another flavor of low fat yogurt? So when it comes to the overall big picture setting, what I would say that is nobody is going to watch out for your best interest besides you. Everybody has their own interest first. If you're a big corporation, you're going to be interested in your profits. The only way you're going to be interested in someone else's success and profit if there is, something in it for you to benefit. For example, if I teach this program and my participants are successful and they go out there and say, look, I've got great success in doing, X, Y, and Z, whatever you're doing on the program. So that, helps me as the person behind this program because obviously, it's working and people are liking it. So, but for, when you look at the bigger scale and you deal with, all kinds of moving parts, just for the sake of a benefit, not very many enthusiasts would start something because they know it's going to benefit people. Some do. I mean, Apple, for instance, even that, so it's entertainment, but they knew that something that's going to appeal to people, that's going to benefit them, and so they started, something like that. But for the most part, they just roll with what is, and they look at what's in it, the quicker and easier way to do. So, uh, point being, nobody is going to watch out for your best interest besides you. Just because they're pushing it doesn't mean it's best for you. It's best for them first, and then it might be best for you. So again, creative thinking, independent thinking is very important. And that's what I've been talking about in the Unplug series. But it also applies to stress-related eating. The worst thing that you can do for yourself is a roll with the flow and accept the fact that there's something wrong with you, and this is why this is happening to you and doesn't seem to happen as much to everybody else. That is incorrect. The reason it's happening more to you if you have this problem rather than to someone else who has less of that problem, although, everybody has a problem with stress-related eating, just some people to a bigger degree than others. But the reason it's not happening to them to a larger degree is that they're in a different position. Their body is different. Maybe their eating habits are different, whether their family are set up different, or maybe they're not under so much stress as you may be right now. So instead of saying, oh, gee, I need counseling, I need to look at myself, I need to work with myself, I need a support group, look outside of that box and what else is there? How much stress do you have? What's your physical condition? What are you dealing with? How does your body work? There's a lot of elements that go into that. So that is main takeaway that I'd like to conclude with today is that with holidays approaching and everybody's going to be tempted, um, don't feel like you have failed if you're not doing it the perfect way that in your mind it should be done. Number one, it's impossible. Number two, if it's not happening, it's not because of you, it's because where you're at. So even if it's horrible, even if you feel like, you overeat every day and you've gained 20 pounds doing that, it's still because this is where you're at. So rather than kick yourself in the butt and tell yourself that you're a loser and you have no self-control, think about what you can do to change where you're at. And that is not a simple question, it's not a simple answer. That's what I teach in the programs. You guys, I feel free to join, whoever's watching me here. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight, but although it's difficult, it doesn't mean it's impossible. And this is the difference. So if you want results, you can have results. All you got to do is put a little bit of effort, and you gonna need the right tools. Nobody, not even the best builder, can build a house without the right tools. And the right tools when it comes to these things just have not been around a lot. So thank you all for listening. We're pushing against our time limit here, so I'm going to end the recording. Again, thank you everybody for participating, and I hope you are going to join us next time.